Welcome back to TPS. Just as nobody predicted, Tom Brady will finish out the remainder of his career with the mediocre Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's hard enough to imagine Brady in anything other than a Patriots uniform, but you know what? He's far from the only NFL legend that will have finished out his career with a random team. Here are 12 others who did it also.
At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video.
Darrelle Revis, Kansas City Chiefs. After he was released by the Buccaneers, Revis signed a one-year pact with the Patriots. The all-pro corner played a pivotal role in helping the Pats win their fourth Super Bowl, and after capturing the elusive ring, Revis left for greener pastures. He returned to his old New York Jets team on a 5-year contract worth $70 million. After earning his 7th Pro Bowl selection in 2015, Revis was hit hard by Father Time in the 2016 season, enduring far and away the absolute worst season of his career. Revis acknowledged that he was slowing down and the Jets had no choice but to cut the franchise icon 2 years into his mega deal. Revis generated practically no interest in the free agent market, but the Kansas City Chiefs defense was so atrocious during the 2017 season that they desperately signed Revis on a 2-year deal worth $11 million. Revis, of course, was well past his playing prime at this point. Though the Chiefs managed to win their second straight AFC West Division title, they were eliminated by the Tennessee Titans in the AFC wildcard round. Kansas City released Revis after the season, and he announced his retirement soon after. Eric Dickerson, Atlanta Falcons. Think of the name Eric Dickerson, you'll almost always associate him with the Los Angeles Rams or the Indianapolis Colts. The 4-time rushing yards leader enjoyed his best years with those two teams. He was a 5-time first-team All-Pro who captured 3 NFC Player of the Year awards. But following a contract dispute with the Rams, Dickerson was traded to the Colts in a 1987 blockbuster 3-way deal that also included the Buffalo Bills. But Dickerson endured frustrating and unproductive seasons in 91 and 92, prompting the Colts to trade him to the Los Angeles Raiders. He had a decent bounce back there, but LA decided to trade the fading star to the Atlanta Falcons in the 93 offseason. Dickerson only made 4 appearances for the Falcons, totaling 91 rushing yards and 0 touchdowns on 26 carries. Given his short and unspectacular tenure in Atlanta, it's impossible for most people to remember that Dickerson finished his career there. Emmitt Smith, Arizona Cardinals. You can argue that triplets, Smith, Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman are the greatest offensive trio of all time. The Hall of Famers guided the Cowboys to 3 Super Bowl championships over a 4-year span in the 90s. All of them were great, but you can easily argue that Smith was the team's most valuable player of the decade. The 93 MVP award winner and 4-time rushing champion sits as the all-time rushing yards leader with 18,355, and nobody will touch his record of 164 career rushing touchdowns. Not a chance. Smith experienced a gradual decline over his final 2 seasons with the Cowboys, and after 13 illustrious years with America's team, he left for free agency. Smith signed with the lowly Arizona Cardinals after the 2002 season, believing he could still hit the 1,000-yard mark with a fresh start. Injuries limited Smith to 10 games in 2003, however, and retirement looked inevitable. He returned for a final season in 2004, recording 937 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Obviously not bad for a 35-year-old running back. Smith retired after the 2004 season, and nobody has since come close to touching the records of this icon. Joe Namath, Los Angeles Rams. Namath, perhaps the greatest player in Jets history, led the team to a memorable upset against the 18-point favorite Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III. In his 12-year tenure with the Jets, which spanned from 65 to 76, Namath led the AFL in passing yards twice and the NFL on one occasion. But Namath was awful in his final 2 seasons with the Jets. Over the 75 and 76 campaigns, he had 19 touchdowns against a whopping 44 interceptions. Namath also lost 17 of 21 starts. Namath joined the Rams for the 1977 season, the last of his professional career. Unfortunately, injuries piled up and Namath only made 4 starts before losing the job to Pat Hayden and Reed New York Jets. Arguably the greatest safety of all time and certainly the best of the 21st century, Ed Reed was a complete game changer for the Baltimore Ravens. It's still unfair that they had Reed, Ray Lewis, and Terrell Suggs all on the field together. Reed spent his first 11 NFL seasons in Baltimore from 2002 to 12. He earned 9 Pro Bowl and 5 first-team All-Pro selections. The ball-hawking safety was named the 2004 Defensive Player of the Year, led the league in interceptions 3 times. As good as it gets for a defensive player, eh? Reed helped the Ravens win Super Bowl 47 over the San Francisco 49ers in what turned out to be Lewis's final season. However, then GM Ozzie Newsome decided to rebuild the roster, and they allowed Reed to leave in free agency. Reed signed a 3-year contract worth $15 million with the Houston Texans. However, Reed struggled with his new team and was released after just playing 7 games. Rex Ryan's New York Jets scooped up Reed for the remainder of the season. Reed played 7 games for his third NFL team, logging 4 passes defended. He didn't sign with any team for the 2014 season, announced his retirement in 2015. Bruce Smith, Redskins. When you think of that 90s Buffalo Bills AFC juggernaut, you quickly think of their popular offensive trio: quarterback Mike Kelly, wide receiver Andre Reed, and running back Thurman Thomas. But never discount defensive end Bruce Smith, who was just as vital in guiding the Bills to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. During the 90s, Smith, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, sits as the all-time sacks king with 200, downright dominant. Unless you're a Bills or Redskins fan, however, it's practically impossible to recall that this guy finished his career in D.C. In the 2000 offseason, Smith left the Bills and signed a 5-year deal with the Redskins worth $23 million, one of the richest deals ever for a defensive player at the time. Smith recorded 10 sacks in his first season with Washington and 5 more in 2003 in his final season. Randy Moss, 49ers. Considering he's by far the second greatest wide receiver of all time, it's crazy to recall how many times Randy Moss changed teams throughout his career. He wrote his most legendary story with the Minnesota Vikings. After a 2-year stop with the Oakland Raiders, Moss revived his career with the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady-led New England Patriots. Moss recorded an NFL record 23 touchdowns during the 2007 campaign as the Patriots pulled off the perfect 16-0 regular season. They fell just 1 game short of perfection, losing to the New York Giants in Super Bowl 42. But like so many Patriots greats, Moss eventually wore out his welcome in Foxborough. He was traded back to Minnesota during the 2010 season, only to get waived and claimed by the Tennessee Titans. Moss retired before the 2011 season, but he came back to play 1 more year, this time for the 49ers in 2012. Moss wasn't that effective, notching only 28 receptions, 434 yards, and 3 touchdowns, but his 49ers advanced all the way to Super Bowl 47, losing to the Baltimore Ravens. Moss retired his second time and stuck to it, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2018. Ronnie Lott, New York Jets. Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, and Jerry Rice received most of the credit during the 49ers 80s dynasty that produced 4 Super Bowls. But all that success doesn't happen without Ronnie Lott, the greatest safety of all time. Lott was part of those first 4 Super Bowl championship teams in the Bay Area. He earned 10 Pro Bowl and 8 first-team All-Pro selections in his illustrious career, while racking up 63 interceptions, which is tied for 8th most all-time. Lott then joined the Raiders for the 91 and 92 seasons. Afterwards, he signed with the Jets, where he played his final 2 NFL seasons. Though Lott was well past his playing prime at that point. Lott would sign with the Kansas City Chiefs and later the 49ers in 95, but he never played it down for either team. At that point, injuries convinced him it was time to retire. Reggie White, Carolina Panthers. The Minister of Defense is associated with 2 teams, the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. White was the ultimate difference maker for the 2 teams, winning a Defensive Player of the Year award with both clubs. Arguably the second greatest defensive player of all time after Lawrence Taylor, White terrorized opposing defenses with his power, strength, and resilience. He turned out to be the final piece the Green Bay Packers needed to complete a championship puzzle. White signed with the Packers in '93, and he helped them emerge as a juggernaut in the NFC. The Packers went on to reach Super Bowl 31, and they reached the big game the following year, narrowly losing to the Denver Broncos. White retired after the '98 season despite recording 16 sacks that year while capturing his second Defensive Player of the Year award. White decided to come back for the 2000 season, however, it was with a young Carolina Panthers franchise. White logged 5.5 sacks before retiring for good. When White sadly passed away on December 26, 2004, the Eagles and Packers both retired as number 92. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. Deion Sanders, Baltimore Ravens. Like Reggie White, many associate primetime Deion Sanders with 2 teams, the 49ers and the Cowboys. Of course, many will also remember that he spent his first 5 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. Sanders played 1 year for the 49ers in '94, but it was a season for the ages. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award while earning another All-Pro selection. Sanders and the 49ers cruised to a Super Bowl 29 championship, soundly defeating the San Diego Chargers. Sanders then signed with the rival Dallas Cowboys, where he won a second championship ring while helping them to achieve dynasty status. After 5 years with Dallas, Sanders signed with the Washington Redskins. He played the 2000 campaign in D.C. before retiring. However, the Ravens successfully recruited Sanders out of retirement in 2004. He played 2 more seasons there before retiring a second time. Of course, Sanders was way past his best before date in his final 2 years in Baltimore, which is why it's easy to forget that he once played alongside Suggs, Lewis, and Reed. Johnny Unitas Chargers. Before guys like Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady arrived, Johnny Unitas held the GOAT label. There was nobody on his level during the 50s and 60s. The Colts legend revolutionized the quarterback position big time, and he's widely considered to be the first pure pocket passer. Unitas led the Baltimore Colts to 3 NFL championships and a Super Bowl ring. He was a 5-time first-team All-Pro who captured 3 NFL MVP awards. But with Unitas on the downside of his career, the Colts made Marty Dombrez their starter for the 1972 season. Unitas, who saw limited time in his final year with the Colts, was traded to the San Diego Chargers for the 73 campaign. Unitas was unable to turn back the clock in his age 40 season. He completed less than half his passes in 5 appearances, tossing 3 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Another future Hall of Famer in Dan Fouts took over as a starter, and the rest is history. Unitas would do the right thing and retire after a short and not-so-sweet stint with the Chargers. It just didn't look right seeing him in a non-Colts uniform. But he still left quite the legacy behind as a franchise great in Baltimore. Jerry Rice Seahawks. Everyone is going to remember the GOAT of wide receivers as a 49er. The guy won 3 Super Bowls there. He made magic with Joe Montana and Steve Young. And sure, Rice had some success with the Oakland Raiders late in his career, even guiding them to a Super Bowl 37 appearance. But 10 years from now, many of you will forget that he ever left the 49ers. Now, can you recall his time with the Seattle Seahawks? And that's where his legendary and illustrious career came to an end. Rice started the 2004 campaign with the Raiders, but after a slow start, he was traded to Seattle. Rice caught 25 passes for 362 yards and 3 touchdowns with Seattle, helping them win the NFC West Division title. However, they fell to the St. Louis Rams in the wildcard round. Rice signed with the Denver Broncos before the 2005 season, but he retired before playing a single snap. So instead of the Broncos, it's the Seahawks who will forever be the answer to the trivia question, which team did Jerry Rice play his final game for? What other NFL legends ended their careers on a random team? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, then like the video. We'd really appreciate that. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Hit that button down below. And until next time, tune in to TPS every single day for more cool videos. See ya.